Hi people and hello my Chili Con Carnage crew, it is Chili here from Live Listen Erased and I have a special episode for you of this show, this wonderful little show, because I am joined by Ezekiel Ox of Mammal, aka the Ox himself. It's good to see you on the show, Zeke. How are you?
Pretty good, Chili. Thanks so much for having me. Bit of behind the scenes drama, which the punters don't need to know about getting this together. But I am stoked. When I saw your review for the album, I was like, you called me out. You said, "Hey, I want you on the show," and I thought, "Hey, I've got to contact Chili and make sure it happens." Absolutely sensational to be here with you, and I've had to sift through your channel since I saw it, and I'm loving your content. It's really good, nuanced and gets into the sort of music I'm into. So thanks so much for having me on Live Listen Erased.
Oh, thank you very much as well for checking out the channel. So, for those of you who are unaware, I've asked Ezekiel to come in, tell me his favourite albums of all time, and of course, I'm picking 3 of these albums for him to choose from a list. And as per the rundown, as always, the way that this show works, I give him 3 albums, and one of these he will have to erase, one of these he will choose to listen to forever, and one will be the live one. He gets to see the band perform this one full live once only, never hear it again. So, of course, Ezekiel has given me a mad little list. But before I jump into this list, I have a little backstory because I'm in a really weird situation here. I'm talking to Ezekiel, who I've been a fan of his band for quite a while now, and I found this amongst my collection.
That's a bit of a rare thing now because, as you may be aware, Chili, we've reprinted those with different artwork. So is that signed? I'm struggling to see that. That's signed?
No, it wasn't signed, unfortunately, but there is a bit of a backstory to this one because I bought this from you 15 years ago, maybe, during the Butterfly Effect tour. And the backstory regarding this one, I've mentioned it on the Mammal review, but basically you guys were the opening act for the Butterfly Effect. I was seeing them, you guys were there, you guys blew me away, and in that situation, you were actually better than the Butterfly Effect. I'm sorry, Clint.
More enjoyable for you.
Enjoyable.
Subjectively more enjoyable for Chili than the Butterfly Effect is probably a more accurate way of saying it because music is subjective. It's not sport.
No.
But no, I know what you mean. Like Mammal have got a bit of a habit of getting invited. Well, particularly early in our career, before we were headlining, we would get invited to tour with people, and we're always very professional. We try to be, but we are a hard band to follow because of the nature of what we do. We would have already had the Mirrorball helmet out by the time we were touring with the Butterfly Effect, I'm sure. But that night, I remember that tour, but we rarely get, the point I'm making, Chili, is we rarely get asked back to tour with bands because I think bands think, shit, we're nice guys, and it's never like, we try not to drink everyone's rider, but you do have to build a night, and it seems that Mammal, unless they're on a festival, are kind of the headliner. We've got the hats,
very true.
We've got the riffs, we've got the show, and I think the intensity as well suits us well as a headliner. Probably cost us a few supports in our time, but we've done really well. We supported Kiss, we supported the Butterfly Effect, we supported Cog, we supported Sebastian Bach. We got Electric Horse before Sungloto came back to support us. So we've managed to sort of find our niche. But that EP is now reprinted with new artwork. So the one you've got is one of 200. And they will never be printed again.
Okay.
So that's another little. That's like a second story, a backstory for you.
There we go. I feel bad.
And I do have to say that the volume 1, the Oral Underground, was recorded at the Evelyn Hotel. Recorded by Jared Heerman, our engineer. So Jared Heerman was his name.
Okay.
Spelled Hearman, and he was our sound engineer. I don't know if your fan base and your audience is familiar with the term normative determinism, which is when you do what your name is. So if you cut meat, if you cut and sell meat for a living and your name is Mr. Butcher, then that's normative determinism. I would argue that a sound guy who has the name Hearman, that's hardcore normative determinism. That's just another little what's the word,
Piece of
divergent
trivia.
story. But that was recorded at the Evelyn Hotel in one take. It was mixed by Forrester Saville, who interestingly is the guy that mixed and mastered the Penny Drop, which is
Ah,
why I'm here. So there's a real sort of full circle story of how that happened. But we did that because we wanted to debut live, similar to MC5, Iggy and the
yes.
Stooges. We wanted to be punk rock. So it's also a cheap way, if you're good enough, to get your debut album out there, right?
Yeah, of course. That's like the perfect. And I remember reading up about that. And the other question I guess many people would be asking is, how does it feel to be back together with Mammal and to have the penny drop out? I mean, this amazing album, you know?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Obviously, because of the sort of nature of how the band's worked, we've got obviously a bass player who's coming in. He had recorded with us, he'd done a couple of songs, but the album felt like it was the culmination of that work. How would you say it? Like transitioning, I guess, as a
Yes.
band. But like, how does it feel? March 6th when it came out, it just felt like the word release, right? Like it's the release day, and I think you feel as an artist a lot of release, a lot of like tension is gone because it's over. You cannot
Mm,
fix it. You cannot remaster it. You can't fix the artwork. Whatever you think isn't, because of course you're listening to it thinking, oh geez, I would have done that
yeah.
differently.
Yes.
We knew that we were onto something. We knew it was good. But you're also anxious because it's new bass player, 15 years apart. So we're wondering how the fan base is going to take it.
Mm,
We have changed a little bit, but it feels weird. And it feels like it's more of an internal achievement. Like I'm more proud of what we did as a band. I'm proud of the way me and Pete, who always, struggled to get along in the early days of the band before we broke up for the first time. I'm really proud of the work we've put in
mm,
to make sure that we got through this process. It wasn't always easy because we've known each other since we were 15. We've been through everything else. I'm really proud of the work that Zane came in and helped me with the lyrics. I'm proud of what we did. Like I'm stoked with from Jimmy Marutis, our producer, to Tyson Fish, our engineer, all the way through to Forey, who mixed and mastered it.
mm.
We got the right team, and I just think the results. There's some moments on the record for me. Obviously, I cannot be objective. It is totally subjective for me. But there are moments on the record for me that I just think are some of my best. So I'm super proud of it.
Well,
Yeah, maybe is probably one of those ones for me.
well, I will look. I would definitely agree with you there. While you're subjective, I guess I'm objective, and I've got to say, coming from all the way back at Volume One here, the Penny Drop is quite the impressive album. You know, obviously two different stages of the band, but wow, quite this massive gap between, and it's like you never missed a beat in a sense, you
Yeah.
know. And
Did you notice the production sort of updated? Like
oh yeah,
we went for the Eric Sarafin had worked with Ben Harper and was more of a roots and ska producer really.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then and because of that sense that Mammal was always such a live band. But now what we've done is with this album we've kind of, because since Mammal broke up and got back together, I've kept listening to Limp Bizkit, which obviously was there, but we
Yes.
didn't reference. But I also have heard what Bring Me the Horizon have done. I've heard what um, even what Meshuggah, how they progressed with their production from say
Yeah.
Destroy, Erase, Improve through to Colossus. So I'm fascinated with there's you've got all these people advancing and what Straight from the Path have done and with modern production, the kids, right? Because I'm 44. So what are the kids doing?
Yes.
Um, and I really like what some of the stuff that the kids have done. And so
Mm-mm.
I felt like I wanted to bring that in. But you also have to be careful because post Parkway Drive,
Yeah.
basically, unless it's massive, unless it's bone rattling, people just aren't going to listen. Like Parkway Drive have absolutely redefined. I'm talking internationally.
Oh yeah.
I think that they have redefined heavy production in a way that we can sort of lean into because we're not fully metal. But yeah, I'm super proud of the record, and I think that I'm so glad that punters like yourself have enjoyed it because it was stressful.
Yeah, it's
Thinking
a
what are
very
they gonna?
stressful event for you to go through
Yeah,
the whole
but we met,
ordeal.
and also and I will say that's interesting because making the album was fun and all that, but losing Nick, going back over the emotional side of things, and having to work with Cade, there was a lot of emotional labor for the three. previous members because we're grieving the loss of someone to the band musically, personally. Cade's obviously trying to figure out how he fits in. And we had to be very careful. When I say we, me, Pete, and Zane had to be very careful that we didn't fall back on old negative patterns, which led to the band's breakup. And it was funny because you go back there. It's so easy. So this is how we communicate. And you realize, hang on, but did the 7 years off teach us anything? And I think it did. So we've come out the other side of it okay, but geez, there was some shit fights in there.
Oh, I bet there's stories involved in that. But getting back on track here with the 3 albums that I've selected, and damn, what an intriguing list you gave me, by the way. It really left me kind of thinking, well, about music in general and how much of an influence it has on everyone. But the 3 albums that I have chosen for you and this list is going to be Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire, Bruce Springsteen.
What can I just say? What a fucking record! I know I chose them. Hit me with the next one. You got the boss coming up.
Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, and
classic.
Of course the last one, Faith No More, King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. 3 big albums out of there. I mean, I was almost leaning towards Pantera, which was one of your other choices there, but I wanted to challenge myself as well.
Which was just for the viewers, it was Pantera's Far Beyond Driven. I would have chosen.
Yes.
Which to me is their peak, but obviously that's that's a broad church of great riffs.
Yeah, that's right.
And what was my fifth?
It was a New York hardcore band from about 10 years ago. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was
Straight from the Path.
Straight from the Path, yes.
Euthanasia, but that album only came out in 2022.
Oh, okay. It was only a couple of years.
So I would, before we move on to the 3 you chose, I just want to encourage everyone who's watching this to listen to Straight from the Path, Euthanasia. They're a Long Island band, absolutely fucking unbelievable. Get around their entire back catalogue, one of the best live bands going around. They're young, they're 27, 28, yeah. They're on their 5th record. And then also Pantera's Far Beyond Driven, obviously listeners will know it, but I just love the brutality, I love the intent, and I like the completely, it's almost unhinged at points with songs like Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills. Oh, yeah. The cover on the extended version of Black Sabbath's Planet Caravan.
Yeah.
It's just got so much going for it, that record. But let's move back to focusing on Born to Run by Springsteen, King for a Day by Faith, and of course, Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire. Yeah.
So
I don't mind your choices.
Let's cover the first one here. Rage Against the Machine and Evil Empire. Many would cite, I guess, when it comes to Rage Against the Machine, and they draw kind of parallels towards your own band. How do you feel about such statements?
How do I feel when people compare Mammal to Rage, who came first? I feel good. I mean, to me, they're the greatest band that has ever been. They managed to do some stuff with commercial radio. With obviously they would fade the song out, but Killing in the Name of with its, and of course, let's not forget they're clearly built on political theory around actual how to have Marxist, working class, union-led, anarchist-led, anti-fascist revolutions.
Yes.
And they talk about those in the songs. They constantly drop the through lines, but they make it. Here's how I describe Evil Empire. Woody Guthrie is like when you're organising, you're in the background, you're joining a union, you're trying to get the women paid the same as you're trying to make sure that the immigrants have as much money. You're doing all that good union work. So that's sort of like the music you're organised to. To me, Rage Against the Machine sounds like the point that you are on the barricade, facing off against the cops, capsicum sprays flying, and you are fighting. It sounds like the fight. And I've been involved in both those parts of activism. I've been, frontline copping capsicum spray fighting against fascists, and I have also been organising to get to the fascist rally to fight the fascists. So I love it all, but I mean, Down Rodeo.
Oh yeah! Wow.
If you want a visceral lyric, I'm rolling down Rodeo with a shotgun. These people ain't seen a brown-skinned man since their grandparents bought one.
Woof.
And let's not forget, this is really interesting. So, 1994, I think, was
92.
Ray. No, 92 was the debut.
Oh, sorry. You were talking about the year it came out. Yeah, sorry.
I'm talking about Evil Empire. So, if Evil Empire comes out 94-ish, Rage Against the Machine are within their zone. to talk about the fact there were still people whose grandparents owned slaves who were alive in 1994.
Hmm.
So they're bringing all that critical race theory, they're bringing all that pre-woke shit in. And as a 14-year-old kid, I just could not believe Year of the Boomerang, Bulls on Parade, Vietnam. It's got pace, it's got halftime, it's got Brad Wilt playing what needs to be played, what he wants to play. I cannot talk about this album enough, but best track of the album is Down Rodeo, 100%.
Oh yes, yeah. Down Rodeo. What an amazing track. I mean, have you seen like snippets of people doing reactions to this song? Never heard it in the past. Never know who Rage Against the Machine is, and then 10 seconds in, and they're just going, wait, what? What did he say? What? You know, they're just absolutely blown away
Yeah.
by such heavy and
But
honest lyrics.
yeah, 100%. I'll ask you, Chili. Because was that your response to Rage when you first heard Killing in the Name of? It was mine. I was like, what is this? It just turned me on.
Oh,
First time I
mate.
heard it, I couldn't believe it.
I look, I was a bit too young for Rage back in the day, but obviously going into high school, you know, everyone starts to get into music, yeah, and they're going,
Yeah,
oh, look, my brother, he's into this band, you know, and
yeah,
that's kind of how a lot of this stuff started. Was my older sibling was into this band, and I've listened to them. You've got to listen to this, and then you listen to like, you know, the first one. It was definitely the self-titled album, the very first album, fucking Killing in the Name of. I mean, such a
bomb track,
power bomb
bomb,
track. Yeah,
I mean, it just
it's just it's
wake up.
everything
I mean,
about it.
but Rage never wrote a bad song. They've got three original albums, one cover album, and then they broke up. So that's my thoughts on that. But also, I think it's really important just to finish talking about Evil Empire. Going back to the production,
Yeah, yeah,
it was recorded in a rehearsal room in LA. They didn't have all the bells and whistles. They locked down a rehearsal studio for 6 months. They had the books that are in the artwork piled up. They were sharing the ideas. They were right in there living it. The guy that was the drum tech on Full Scale's debut album, Full Scale, was the
yeah,
drum tech on Evil Empire, and he told us some stories. And apparently they were living it. They were hell in there, but it sounds super raw. But the best thing about that album is if you turn it up, it keeps sounding better because it hasn't got that Linkin Park compression. It
ah,
doesn't have that My Chemical Romance, and even the new Mammal album has that compression. It sounds more like what we wanted on the majority. It's got width. It's not compressed. I tell you,
yeah.
you put that on a nice stereo and you fucking keep going, just keep turning it up. It'll just sound better and better. So that's another reason I love that record because it doesn't push the compression too hard.
The other thing as well, I know it's not this album, but I was in Vietnam recently, a couple of months ago, and I
You
actually,
mean Vietnam?
no, yeah, I was in Vietnam, so
Oh no, so you were in
I
Vietnam.
was in Vietnam not too long ago, and basically when I was in Saigon, I actually went to the spot where that photo was taken. The monk Trung,
Self-immolating.
yeah, the self-immolation
Yeah.
spot. And
Mm.
if you go to that spot, there's actually a statue to the monk. I'm gonna mispronounce and really butcher his name here. I think it was Trung Huan Phoc or something like that. And anyway, you go to that corner, which has changed a fair bit. You obviously wouldn't recognize it after. Well, now it's 50 odd years. Basically, that whole event kickstarted the Vietnam War, you know, and this self-immolation. I think the act was in 1965 when it happened, that famous photo of the monk burning. But you go to that corner where all of this happened. There's massive statue of him, and it's got a relief behind him of like it's almost reenactment. And it's such, I don't know, it felt weird coming in there and I'm listening to the album knowing where I was going to because I walked there, and it was just this weird journey, I guess, of listening to such music. It was
Yeah.
really
It's a. I
powerful.
mean, it's an iconic album cover, an iconic image. I think.
Mm.
I will just say. I can't. I mean, I can't comment on that because that's just your observation of how it felt. That's a good reflection. But for me, like a bloke just self-immolated in front of the White House over Palestine and a
That's
former
right.
US soldier. I just want to say to anyone out there, I get the despair, I do, but we need you. God, don't do that.
Don't
Please
do
don't
that
do that.
shit.
Now I'm don't well look, like I get it. I get that, that if you're that um
Mindset.
You've reached a point of nihilism, a
Mm.
point of nihilism where, yeah, look, we can sit here and say that who cares? The universe is going to collapse on itself. The sun's going to chew up the earth. There is no point to anything. But if you're struggling for Palestinian people, or you're struggling for the freedom of Vietnam from France or US imperialism, which is the two cases we're talking about,
Mm.
we need you here. So please don't do that. I get what you're saying, but fuck,
Mm.
man, like it just hurts my heart. So I want to say that to other activists. Yeah, self-sacrifice is okay. I've copped the capsicum spray. I've done all that, but we don't need that. We want
No.
you fighting with us. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
But obviously they've reached a point, and I don't. It just hurts my heart.
it is. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. If you're in that situation, do seek help as well. Speak to others as well. That's a main thing.
But
There is,
there's arguments that it's sane. That's the thing. Because as a criminal defense lawyer, and looking for the intellect behind acts, there's an argument that, well, I've this is going to go on anyway, and look at the attention it brings.
yes,
So
that's the
there's
scary part.
there's this scary, like, what else can we do to tell capitalism to stop, to tell the war machine to stop? And I think that monk and that former US soldier have reached some limit where they're like, well, my life does not matter in the face of such atrocity. And I get that. I agree. My life, Chile's life, it doesn't matter if we can save Palestinian kids, but are you as useful dead as you would have been fighting?
That's true.
Is it's just something I want people to think about. But yeah, 100%. And there's probably, please do, like, because yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably enough. It's pretty heavy.
It's heavy. I know. I was like, whoa.
But that's rage.
That's rage.
For you.
That's
They
what
are
rage
fucking
is going to
heavy.
do. And actually, that's the other thing I was going to come to discuss, because obviously Rage, they went to university. I think Zach De La Roque, he went to university and studied. Can't remember what it was now, but
Yeah, his father was also very
anthropology. That was it. I think he studied.
okay. Anthropology,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
So,
and
his father was also a very famous revolutionary mural artist.
I
So
see.
it's and his mother. That's what Born of a Broken Man is, because his father was. So I mean, we're probably going into it too much because it's a separate album. Again, it's Battle of Los Angeles, but Zach's childhood was very much witnessing revolutionary behavior.
Yeah, that's right. And I
And
guess
Tom's a Harvard grad in political science.
that's
His
it.
mother's been an activist against censorship. Brad Wilkes, obviously Indigenous American, and then Timmy C's the token white fella in that band.
But,
Because Zach's Hispanic and
Yeah, yeah.
Tom Morello's dad's black, so he's black.
yeah. That's a weird. I never thought about it that way.
The token white guy. He's lucky we got one in.
If it was South Park, yeah, it'd be like, yeah, you're the other token, you know, like it's just so different.
But South Park came out. His name's Tolkien.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it's Tolkien,
And we just heard it.
J.R.R. Tolkien. You're like, I thought it was Token. No,
Well, they didn't-
why would I
they
name my
obviously-
kid after that?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was such a good response.
Oh, that was amazing. Oh yeah, I forgot. That was a great episode. But I wanted to bring it to as well. You're studying at the moment, as you mentioned just previously, law.
Oh no, I'm not studying. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, you are a lawyer. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm New South solicitor number 099900 on the New South Wales Supreme Court roll. I did that in February.
What a number. That's a good number to remember.
Upside down, number of the beast.
Iron Maiden's going to represent. What made you get into law?
I mean, I'd always thought I'd be a good lawyer. I can talk. I love justice and I hate injustice. And I think that, like, I'm not a hippie. You got to have rules. Like, to go back to the Rage Against the Machine thing, a lot of people were pissed off at them because they wouldn't have you at their concerts unless you were vaccinated, and they saw that as a betrayal of Rage Against the Machine's politics, right?
Right.
But anyone that had any understanding of the Marxism element of their politics would have known that, of course, they were going to call for that. They were going to support medical science, and they were going to call for you to do the thing that will look after the elderly and the poor and the sick, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
So, I think you've got to have rules. You have to have a social construct and a contract, and I also then think that everyone deserves a defense. I don't know. I'm fascinated with policy reform, and I'm fascinated with helping Aboriginal people, which is why I work at the Aboriginal Legal Service in the Family Violence Prevention Unit,
Hmm.
which is really difficult work, but at the same time, a lot of people that are victims and perpetrators of family violence, they need to stop the perps, but the victims are often perps and the perps are often victims. It is
Hmm.
so complex, and I'm looking. So where's the justice if families are breaking down based on? But there's also over policing. There's other issues. Like I
Yeah.
guarantee there's just as many men bashing their wives in Double Bay as there are in Redfern, but the cops don't go to Double Bay. So it's not as easy as saying, yep, it is it's easy. You shouldn't hit your wife,
Yeah.
100%.
Of course. Of course.
But once you're there and you look at the 5-year-old who was smoking ice, the 5-year-old who was sexually abused, who was then beaten up and watched their mum get beaten up, you start to see how some people are starting from 50 meters back in this running race of life,
Hmm.
and some people can start ahead and still get away with a bunch of bullshit. So
Yeah.
I'm fascinated in trying to fix the ills of society and also just make sure that I'm a part of it. But I believe the law can be a really reformative force. Like we should legalize pot. We should,
Yes.
we should help heroin addicts get into the medical system. We should see shoplifting from Coles and Woolworths as a revolutionary act and not a crime. There's all these nuances. Like I couldn't give a shit if you shoplift at Coles. I don't care because they're taking the piss and they're price gouges. So you see what
Yeah.
I mean? So there's justice. So if you're poor and you can't afford to give your kid a lolly, and then you shoplift a lolly for your child who's 3, 3-year-olds deserve lollies. They just do. They just deserve one a day.
Hmm.
Then I see that as justice. I see that as, see what I mean? Whereas the law would say that it's wrong and we need to punish it. So I find all that greyness very interesting because what is justice, and your version of justice is different to mine, but that's why I got into it. So I
Nice.
can help people.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way. What better way to help people, especially when it comes to legal help, than to be part of a system to try and reform it if possible, but also work, I guess, with it to help them out in their toughest situations as well, which is also a
But
very honourable
yeah,
thing.
and you're also working with Indigenous people who are the most oppressed people in the world, possibly, but definitely in this country. So,
Mm.
and shout out to all my mob out there. We're coming back, and it's been a pretty good 10 years. The referendum, whatever, we're winning on the streets,
It was
and
a it was a
we've got
setback.
another champion in the courts. No, I don't know. It wouldn't have changed anything. I thought it was a
True.
cultural setback. I thought it was a cultural setback. It would have been nice to hear yes for once, but
Yeah.
it's just the same shit for Indigenous people. We just get no every day.
It's a bit, that's a sad damn. That's like an honest truth
Well,
there, but it's like, oh man, hearing that out loud. Ow.
but it's sad. But then you think about like the genocide and then the no, no, no. And then you get
Mm.
Yotha Yindi, you get Kathy Freeman, you get Briggs, you get No Fixed Address, you get Southern Desert Rock Band. So Aboriginal people are just here going, we're still winning.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, hell,
Yeah,
there's still a
what?
lot of acts out there as well. I want to shout out. I think it's the Mulgoa rock band. Damn,
Fuck yeah.
what a fucking amazing group they are.
Fuck yeah. And they're one of those bands that socially started behind here.
Yeah, yeah.
So more likely to be involved in poverty, more likely to have struggles. But then they come through,
Mm.
and that's the victory. That's just in
I
your
mean,
face.
yeah, and they open for Kiss. Like, fuck, how big, how much of an
Just
impact?
like Mammal.
Just like Mammal.
Just like Mammal.
There we go. See, great bands, they open for Kiss like this, and then they blow them away. So I guess let's move on to the next one, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. This one was actually a little bit of a challenge for me because I've never listened to any Bruce Springsteen album. I know, shock horror, everyone, before
Yeah.
you comment and say otherwise, I have heard a lot of his tracks through live albums because my dad, Wazza, who has been on the show a few times, loves to play his live music. So I know a lot of material, and I've just never listened to Born to Run, the studio version probably. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pick Born to Run because I'm going to listen to this album that everyone chats about, everyone talks about in such high esteem, and just see what's the fuss. So, what is it about this album for you, I guess, that is such a massive impact for you?
It's probably like mixed in with my childhood, my sense of attachment, because my parents played it regularly, and it was a really important record to them for their relationship. which is beautiful to see them coming together over music and just how it links people. It gives you memories that go on. That's a big part of it. It's probably sort of in my DNA almost. But when you listen to the record, it's whimsical, it's folky, it's sort of almost in the tradition of Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
But Springsteen brings that rock. He brings that sense of like, my the reason I love the vocals and I think how it's influenced my vocals is just that sense of conviction. The fact that when Springsteen sings a note, it doesn't matter if it's perfect, you feel it. And also, let's not forget, the band was cutting those takes together. It is one room, Jimmy Iovine, who was about to move on to do U2's Rattle and Hum. And, I mean, it's just this great team, of producer, artist, engineer. And Springsteen was writing them. He was just working the E Street Band so hard. You've got Clarence Clements on the saxophone. Rest in peace, Clarence. Amazing saxophone player. Just the whole band. I love the stories that Springsteen tells with his lyrics. I like how they don't pull punches when it comes to painting working class life for what it is, a struggle. It's deeply political, even though it sounds singer-songwriter. It's as political as Evil Empire, if you break down the lyrics. And Springsteen's a real working class hero. So I think I connect to his sense of being able to tell a story with a song. Thunder Road's my favourite track off the record. It's just a song about teenage romance, but there's so much more than that in it. And I love Springsteen's intent. I love his work ethic, and I just love a good fucking 3-chord song. It's about a girl.
Yeah, that's always like you're never gonna go wrong really with that type of stuff. I love the passion that it draws out with people. If you find out someone is a Bruce Springsteen fan, they're not just a fan; they're a passionate fan, most likely. It's this weird sense. Like if I hear anyone talking about them, it's always like, oh, Bruce Springsteen. Like this smile comes to their face, this memories like flashing back to them. And I guess one of the things.
Well, they possibly. Sorry, just to cut you off there, just briefly. Possibly it's because they've seen him live. I saw him at Hang Rock, 2016 live, and he was 60 something, mate. But to see it and to see 2.5 hours with no break. He did not leave the stage while they did a solo. He'd stand there and play the chords under the solo. And he gets free public transport on Sundays in Melbourne. Like that's how old he is. And he just, the guy's a powerhouse, and also just let's not forget, he's, Rage Against the Machine covered the Ghost of Tom Joad. Yeah. There's a reason for that because Springsteen is in the tradition of Guthrie. Rage are in the tradition of The Clash. Public Enemy. It's all fucking protest music in the end. And rock and roll, good rock and roll is political.
And if you're not familiar with Woody Guthrie, he was a folk singer from all the way back in like the 60s, if I'm remembering.
No, way back, 30s.
30s, right.
100%.
And actually, I'm trying to remember, because I think there was another... what's the
Sorry,
name?
Michael.
There's another band as well. They got a hold of Woody Guthrie's music or his songs and lyrics. New York-based group, Shipping Up to Boston. They did that song, if you can recall the band.
Dropkick Murphys.
Dropkick Murphys, yeah.
They're actually Boston-based.
Boston.
That's right. Yeah, but that's it again. But Mammal toured with Dropkick Murphys on the big day out. We played before them. They raise money for their local firefighters union.
Yeah.
Deeply left-wing, deeply political. That's where Mammal's music comes from. You want to make a point. So yeah, but that's what I love about Born to Run. It's just a sensational record.
That's true. I mean, when I was listening to it, one thing that struck me, like I've always heard most of these songs, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, obviously Born to Run, these amazing songs. But the one thing that struck me so much was, this sounds like Meatloaf in the way of its orchestral arrangements, its grandeur. I'm listening to the musical side of it, and I'm thinking, I love Meatloaf. Like, Bat Out of Hell is an amazing record, even though it came out after the film.
But that's what what you're hearing is Meatloaf trying to be the boss.
Yes.
Like there's a start, like, it starts with Rage Against the Machine's debut, and then you get Mammal. I think you get Springsteen, then you get Meatloaf. You can't have one without the other.
the 2 degrees of separation on each of those.
Well, it's the difference between the imitator and the seminal act. Yeah,
Mm.
like yeah, we all want to be Rage. Don't worry about that. We're '90s
Oh,
kids, mate.
yeah.
I'd love to
Any
be.
any
I'd
nineties
love to be in
kids.
Rage Against. I'd love to be in Rage Against the Machine.
Oh gosh. Would that be like an ultimate dream for you to just open for Rage Against the Machine?
Um, Probably want to tour with them with my own music because I'd be happy to. I mean, I'd do it obviously, but
Mm.
and I'd kill it. I would crush it, but I would most like to go on a world tour with them, playing every night before them. That would be amazing. So then I get to show everyone my music, and then I get to watch them get paid to watch them, basically.
Yes. Yeah, I'll open for them. I'll open for you guys, and I'll just be like, don't worry about my money.
No, no, Chili. Always worry about the money, Chili.
True that. If you're a musician, always,
Always
always the money. You gotta
get paid.
don't listen to promoters who are like, oh, we're gonna give you fame, money. That's how you pay your rent. You get
Yeah,
your
I
fame.
can't pay my rent and exposure.
No, that's it. Yeah. How many Instagram followers do you have? Shut up. Who cares? I want money.
Walk up to the landlord at the end of the week and say, "Woo, great house, man. Woo, great house.
I'll do.
See how
I'll,
that,
I'll, I'll do a
see how,
short on it and put it to my viewers.
see how far that gets you with your landlord."
Very true. Would you say, I guess, with the influences of Bruce Springsteen and the way he performs and such, was this a massive influence for you and your performances during live settings?
The intensity was Springsteen has a guitar. I tend to not play with a guitar, so it really was a songwriting thing. Like I love the way he digs deep. I like also the size of his band on the record. You got
Mm,
saxophones, extra guitars, drum kits, keyboards, backing vocalists. I
mm.
love that shit. It's like the Cat Empire, but it's like
Oh yeah,
rock.
Cat Empire.
I love that. I love that. Horns, all that stuff. And the E Street Band is, I mean, Springsteen's as good as his band on that record, and they are sensational. So yeah,
At their pinnacle, both of them there. They did very well with that record. I've got to go back and
it's a
listen to
sense.
more of it.
It's just a really good album to put on when you're doing the dishes or whatever. It sort of floats in and out, but it's not high impact, but it hits you hard
Mm,
as you get into it.
very true that. Like, yeah, but just an amazing record either way. One of those big ones as well. We move on to, I guess, the last one on the list here, which is Faith No More, King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. And I was a bit surprised when you sent me this one because, like, everyone, of course, knows the major one with Epic and such, or Angel Dust as well, which is another big album of theirs. But
It's
it's
a great
like,
record.
it's a great record, yeah. But this one for you, King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, which gets overlooked quite a bit by, some fans from Faith No More. But for you, this is a massive album for you.
Mm.
Why would you say, what draws you towards this album?
It's interesting. I think the Trey Spruance, who's the guitar player from Mr. Bungle
Mm,
and was the guitar tech for Faith No More, he took over from Jim Martin on this record, and I think you get. There's something I like about Spruance's guitar work with Faith No more than Jim Martin's. And don't get me wrong, Angel Dust is fucking seminal, amazing record. But there's something the rawness in the production that sticks out. The keyboards come back; they become more piano based, less synth based.
mm, mm.
And I mean, it's just really hard to go past tracks like "Gentle Art of Making Enemies," "Evidence,"
Evidence.
"Ricochet."
Dig in the Grave as
I
well.
mean, it goes on, "Digging the Grave," and I remember when it came out, I was playing in my first band. I was 15, 16. We learned how to play "Dig in the Grave." We learned how to play a few songs, and it was really important. But I love the aggression on Patton's vocals too. Songs
Mm,
like "Cuckoo for Kaka," particularly "Cuckoo for Kaka" and "The Gentle Art of Making Enemies." The way he can transition so seamlessly from the hard clean melodic vocals all the way back to Evidence, where he's doing that smooth lounge shit. And then you've got stuff like Cuckoo for Kaka, which is just
yeah.
insanity. I love the range. Like you listen to a Kings of Leon album, and every song sounds like the same. I
Mm,
like the fact that it with Faith No More as well. And I think you can hear a bit of this on the Penny Drop.
mm.
We're not beholden to genre. We sort of go from rock to funk to metal to, we like to mix it up. And I love the way that they just gave the breadth of the music so much on that record. And again, I think it could be one of those things where it was my first band. I was learning the songs. I got shown it by my bass player. There's a memory there,
Uh,
which makes me feel super connected to this I was kissing girls. I was playing the guitar. I was 15. Like it
It's
was
the
just
Lemmy
what.
thing all over again. Like Lemmy said, it's the music that when you start to get laid to, you are really going to build foundations on.
I wasn't sure I was getting laid, but I was definitely
Well,
getting a kiss.
yeah, getting a
But hey,
kiss, getting
but
a
I'm not as
kiss.
cool as Lemmy. I'm not
No,
as cool
no,
as Lemmy.
no. Lemmy, jeez, that guy came out. He was born with a moustache, and a hat on his head. Like,
Quick byline. 2003, Rainbow Hotel, bought Lemmy a scotch, had a very brief chat with him. Very nice. He was very kind. I bought him a drink and I left him alone, but he was sitting at the bar. And of course, this is all before camera phones and stuff. So
yeah.
but I did get to meet, I had an audience with God, so to speak.
Was he there sitting on his little machine that he always played on at the
He was
bar?
actually the corner of the front bar. That was at the
Yeah.
back. You had to go at the back, but there was a corner front bar where he was starting up. But yeah, it was just a really nice moment. Saw Cypress Hill there
Oh wow.
as well. Asked them if they had any weed. They told me to fuck off. And then Sendog from Cypress Hill was recording a new album with Powerflow with the guys from Machine Head and stuff when Super Heist was recording our album in 2016 at the same studio in LA.
Oh
So I got to
fuck.
see him again and I reminded him and he was cool. He gave me some pot that time and I smoked part of the joint and I literally couldn't talk for like an hour because he had this full chronic. Anyway,
Oh
don't smoke. Trap for young players. If you get offered a joint by Cypress Hill, just say
no.
no, thank you.
That,
Yeah.
that that goes further as well. I want to go to Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg. There was I forgot who it was, but
But
there was,
I'm qualified. Like I was qualified at the time. Like I was a smoker,
right.
and obviously I don't do that anymore because I'm a lawyer. But I was smoking, and it just floored me. But that's LA for you. They got good chronic kush over there.
Yeah, it'd be just next level
So
shit.
so yeah. Oh, it is. It is. You got to be careful. It can cost you the whole day. But look, the album for me, I love the production. I love how raw it is. I think it was mixed by Wallace. I think it's an Andy Wallace mix. And Andy Wallace is obviously responsible. Slipknot's debut, King for a Day, a lot of Limp Bizkit stuff. I mean, he just has this way to make stuff sound big. So I love that record growing up.
There is a lot of experimental stuff as well. For Faith No More sense of it, you compare it to like Angel Dust, which is sure that had some experimental, but I think King for a Day, they kind of just said, all right, we're going to take this and bump it up a degree, on this
Yeah.
offer. It definitely changed.
I think for me, it's range. For me, it's range. So you've got say a band like AC/DC, they fit into this bandwidth,
yeah.
But a band like Faith No More, so say Back in Black, right? Absolutely great album, but it fits into this simple bandwidth. But then you've got a King for a Day, Full for Lifetime. It's kind of on that bandwidth.
I think it's on multiple
It's
spectrums
got
as well.
more to it. Yeah, it's probably more on a spectrum as opposed to just on the railroad tracks, just flowing on. So I love that about that record. Now, apparently you're going to ask me to choose, which I don't like. Let's go.
This is the hard part, of course. We
I
come to the
choose.
conclusion of the show where we have to choose 3 of these. So once again, you have to erase one, you have to listen to one forever, and of course you have to you have to watch one live, once only, and that's it. Out of these 3 decisions, which one are you going to go with? And for what reasons?
Because of what I said before, unfortunately for Bruce Springsteen's awesome album, I'm going to have to watch that once live. I'm going to watch Springsteen and the E Street Band play it all the way through. So I'm going to enjoy that. And I'm probably going to get the camera phone out a couple of times to remember it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that'll be the last time I hear that record. But I would love to see that band on it live. So that's my first one is live.
Okay.
I will go Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. And Mum will just have to listen to it by herself because Mum and I often listen to that over a glass of red. Shout out to Ann Ox, living legend, saint.
That's good.
And mate, gotta call your mother if you haven't already today. And so anyway, and then I'm thinking, so I've seen that live.
Yeah. So you've got either Evil Empire or King for a Day.
I'm gonna have to listen to Evil Empire because I'll stand by this because obviously it's musically fantastic, but the width in the production is something that I particularly have valued at different times in my production work, which is with Overreactor particularly. Leave width. Don't compress it like Linkin Park. Don't compress it like Parkway. Don't compress it like Bring Me the Horizon or Cardi B. Very modern. leave some width so that if people want to, they can turn it up. So I'm
Mm.
going to put that on my awesome stereo. I'm going to play that on my big PA. I'm gonna get the best EQs. And I'm going to listen to that whenever I fucking want, because you've already made me not listen to Born to Run, which I'm seriously annoyed about. So why I got into this whole thing.
Why?
So
Why?
why? So I'm going to do that. Then obviously I'm going to have to erase,
Faith no more.
yeah, which means that no one else, which I'm going to fight you on it, because that means no other kids get to hear it, and I can't enjoy listening to it when I'm older. But I think probably because Faith No More, that way I can still go back to Angel Dust, and I can still go back, even Album of the Year and their last album, which
Soul
was
Invictus.
called fucking unbelievable. So Faith
Mm.
No More, I think you've probably got enough back catalogue there to lose one, but it would be my favorite, and I would still hum the melodies on the shopping line to make sure that it was still out there, in flagrant disregard of your erasure kind of
My rule.
project going on. That's right. I would say to Chili, "Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me." To quote a great band, and and I'll be on the lunch queue going, "Ever dance, ever dance, ever dance." Yeah, so
It lives
that's
on.
my picks, and I will not. There will be no correspondence will be entered into. I need to leave it there because that was hard. That was super fucking hard, Chili. What kind of a fucking maniac? Like, you just made me erase
Faith.
King Fruit April for a lifetime. Boo, boo, Chili. Be your format, but also to be on your format. Have me back.
Oh man, I think I, you know what? I got the same picks as you, but like, so this is how I see it, right? Rage Against the Machine. You have to listen to them. You always have to listen to them. I feel a bit sad because I've never seen Rage Against the Machine. I wanted to go. The tour sold out in like 15 minutes. It was very sad. But depending on how you look at it with Bruce Springsteen and the Born to Run album, I mean, Tom Morello was part of Bruce Springsteen for a little while, and he performed. He was always
I
brought
saw
on.
that. That's what I saw. He was
Yeah,
no, he was the guitar player for the E Street Band,
yeah.
and I saw him, which is that was fantastic for me with my mum.
Mm.
See, my dad had died by then, so we all went as a family because mum and dad had always gone to see Springsteen. That was a really special day for me. So
Yeah, and to
I
hear
think it's
like
really
the
important.
yeah the
People remember that too. Like all of my memories, as you can hear, are tied up in emotion. Music is an emotional thing.
exactly.
So there might be a complete lack of rationality in what we're all saying, and that's good. You want to approach music emotionally, not rationally.
That's right. It's all about emotion, which is why my comment section is always flooded with comments like "you're wrong," and I'm like, "That's great because you're passionate. You're passionate about your favorite bands, and of course,
Yeah.
you have your opinions. And there is no right or wrong answer here. It's just opinions for this.
Mm.
But yeah, Bruce Springsteen. If you
So,
timed it
so that's
right,
Springsteen's thing. So you would listen to Rage because
yeah,
I'm sorry to hurry you up, but I have to go.
of
So,
course,
but I want to hear. I want to hear.
yeah.
So you're
So
going to listen to
listen to
Rage for those
Rage.
reasons.
Yep, Bruce Springsteen, because I could possibly see Tom Morello do Ghost of Tom Joad Road, which is amazing. So I would put that down. And Faith No More, unfortunately, I just don't really like King for a Day as much as Angel
Interesting.
Dust.
See,
Just one
that's
of those
interesting, isn't it?
things.
Because they're both classics, but there's something about the break off that I like. I can see that. So we actually chose the same things though.
Yeah,
Boom,
yep,
boom, boom. But for different reasons. So there you
yes.
go.
Very
We're
different
not that
reasons.
we're not that different, you and I, Mr. Powers. See, I did say that.
got the reference in. Got a good reference on that one.
Yeah. I'm sorry to rush you there, Chili,
Hmm.
but I got to go, man. I got another thing to go to, another function. But it's been so cool being on live. I listen to Race, and I love what you're doing. I love the kit. I love the hook, and please feel free to have us back. I've got a couple of announcements though. Mammal's going on tour. We're going July 19 and July 20. That's Melbourne, Sydney. Then we're going Adelaide and Brisbane, August 2nd and 3rd. And after we've done that, we're going back into the studio and we're starting our next record. And people
Ooh.
need to understand we are not slowing down. We're not resting on the brilliance of the penny drop. We think we can beat it. We think we've got better in us. We think the Cade's going to come further into his fall.
Hell yeah.
I think vocally I'm going to get better. So that's where we're at. We've already put our things in place. And shout out to anyone who's listening to us in Europe, across the UK. We know we've been added to radio stations there, across whether it's Friday Night Footy or whether you're getting it on Spotify or you're catching it on community radio. Mammal fans are the best fans because they are our fans and we love you so much. I cannot thank you enough, Chili, for giving me your platform. And big shout out to Pete, Cade, and Zane, my bandmates, Forrester, Jimmy, and Tyson for this album. And I just can't wait to be back on your platform, mate. And if there's anything you need, hit me up. And listen to Chili. Give him a like. Give him a subscribe. Give him a share. That's how you do it on the internet.
Yes.
And I'll see you next time, Chili. I have to run.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, people. You have a great day. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music-related content because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.